students, Dr. Bowen here. Welcome to another quick management lecture just to give you a really fast overview of Chapter 3, or what's probably the most essential part of Chapter 3 in the Bowen, Rawlins, Martin book. I'm sure you've already read that, but I just wanted to recap the models of public relations are described in the text, and I would like you to read that again, especially before our midterm and final exams, because that is extremely important information to understand. But I developed a chart that I think will help you a lot. I believe that this summarizes what I'm looking for in terms of your understanding of the models of public relations. So that's table 3.1 in chapter 3. And let me quickly go over how to read this table and what it means for you, because once you understand this table, I think you'll probably never have a problem determining which model of public relations you're looking at in a particular example or an exam question in the future. So the top of the table is direction, and that's direction of the communication. Is it predominantly one way, such as information dissemination, or is it predominantly two-way, such as seeking feedback, discussion, and dialogue? So the direction axis across the top of this table gives you one component of what we need to look at. The side axis talks about the purpose of the communication. Is the purpose of the communication to understand or build understanding among parties? Or is the purpose of the communication to persuade someone to adopt your point of view or what the organization would like them to believe? That's very common in advertising and in political public relations campaigns, for example. So if you look at each axis of the organization, the quadrants of the chart are the models of public relations from Grunig and Hunt, 1984, still in practice today in terms of they are found in the real world, and they are discussed in theory in terms of how public relations is done and sometimes normatively how it should be conducted. So the first one here is press agentry. That is the one-way direction and persuasion, getting someone to adopt your point of view. So press agentry is looking for attention and notoriety in the news media. It's generating coverage. If you think about Hollywood and the entertainment media, they use predominantly press agentry. So that should show you how to, so far, read the chart. The next one-way type of communication that we have is public information. And public information is there to create some form of understanding. Now, is that all it does? Sometimes it's just for information. So it's not building true dialogue-based understanding because, again, it's one-way communication, which is simple dissemination of information for the purpose of understanding. So when you fill a prescription, you get an insert that describes that medication, how to take it, and common side effects. That's public information. If you look at the food pyramid, that's public information. Or you turn around a box of cereal or the soft drink you have probably in your hand and you look at the nutrition information, that's public information. It's provided in a one-way manner. It doesn't seek feedback. It's simply there for your information to build your understanding of what's in the soft drink or the product. And it's not attempting to persuade you one way or another what to do with that information. Now let's talk about two-way communication. That is more dialogue-based, but it's not simply dialogue and conversation. It's seeking feedback, building in a feedback loop, and even using research to understand what others are thinking. That research can be formal or informal. So two-way communication, more of a dialogical approach, but if it is intended on persuading someone, that's asymmetrical communication, because asymmetrical simply means lopsided in favor of the communicator. So it's asymmetrical in that it's lopsided. You want someone to be persuaded to adopt your ideals. This is oftentimes what we see in political public relations. They do a lot of research to find out what an audience wants to hear and what stakeholders value in that political campaign. They give a speech to the candidate written along those lines, and the candidate delivers that speech intending to persuade people to vote for her or him. So think of it in terms of asymmetry, getting people to adopt your ideas. It's also used very much so in the world of advertising and competitive product public relations, product promotion, placement, and publicity. So finally, the fourth quadrant is a two-way form of communication that seeks to build understanding. So that is the symmetrical model of public relations. It's symmetrical, but it's not completely in balance. It implies an ongoing symmetry, like a yin and a yang can move together. Sometimes in public relations, you'll have things come out in favor of the organization. Sometimes it will come out in favor of publics, but it's a give and take. That's what symmetry is all about. It's not a perfectly balanced equilibrium, but it's about give and take and building understanding through dialogue, research, feedback, listening to others, listening formally through research means, and listening informally through informal means, convenient samples, conversations with other leaders, and so on. So those are the four models of public relations, and I think it'll be simple going forward to determine what's what. Although in multiple tactic type of campaigns, you can have different tactics that use different models of public relations within an overall campaign. But don't get too confused about that. It's called mixed motive when you're trying to build understanding and you're trying to persuade. So when you see the term mixed motive, just realize it goes back and forth depending on the tactic being used, and we can determine a predominant overall approach for each campaign or initiative or public relations program. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that has helped to clarify Chapter 3, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.